Have you ever noticed that PvP feels odd for some reason? Have you ever seen posts complaining about the hitboxes in PvP? Or maybe people claiming that PvP is absolute canine doo-doo? Well, there is one thing in common with all these claims, you know. Let me ask you something. How many times have you been invaded by a bad red man while you play your game, being forced to engage in non-consensual PvP? You're standing your ground against the evil being trying to ruin your session when all of a sudden this happens?
That's quite big.
I'd place a hefty bet on Blade's left bollock that you've encountered this scenario during PvP, and I'd reckon it wasn't the sole peculiar interaction you've experienced. I'd wager you've also endured the unpleasantness of bleed or other status effects while rolling. As annoying and seemingly random as it may appear, there's actually a method to the madness. It's not just some haphazard occurrence, believe it or not. This phenomenon has a name, and it's called latency. Now, we've touched upon latency briefly in previous discussions on the channel, mainly as a means to explain other concepts. But we've yet to give it the spotlight it truly deserves in its own dedicated video. And trust me, it's an important topic, especially for Elden gamers who might still be in the dark about how it operates. Latency tends to be the culprit behind many PvP woes, which is why we believe this video is long overdue. So try to activate those fried beef jerkies you call your neurons, because we're going to break down what latency is, how it operates, and most importantly, how to deal with it. At its core, what exactly is latency? Well, it can be defined as the delay before a transfer of data begins following an instruction for its transfer. If synaptic connections remain a mystery to your neurons, allow me to paint a picture. Envision yourself at one end of a pipeline with someone else stationed at the opposite end. You send a message written on a piece of paper through the pipeline for the other person to read and respond to. They jot down their reply and send it back to you through the pipeline. The duration it takes to complete this entire exchange is what we refer to as latency. In scenarios with low latency, the pipeline is short, resulting in swift completion of the communication process. Conversely, in instances of high latency, the pipeline is extended, prolonging the duration of the exchange. Similarly, latency correlates with the physical distance between players. A pipeline stretching from the US to Canada will naturally be shorter than one spanning from the US to China. Consequently, when engaging in PvP combat, you sometimes may observe a delay between landing an attack and its corresponding registration. The lengthy pipeline carrying the message "I hit you" necessitates time for the receiving device to process the information and respond with "hit taken," leading to instances where hit sparks and blood effects manifest even as the opponent executes evasive maneuvers such as rolling. You did hit them. It just took time to register. The one on the receiving end, however, is seeing this in real time, and they respond to the attack with a well-timed roll. However, hit sparks or blood will manifest because according to the initial device, the attack did connect. But what happens when you don't dodge the attack? When an attack connects on screen 1 and the person from screen 2 does not roll at any point, the attack will register and the enemy will sustain damage. To the attacker, it will seem like the hit landed and it took time to register, but to the receiver, it will look like this. Looks familiar, doesn't it? The attack seems to land from pretty far, but in reality you were just hitting their screen and you didn't dodge on yours. It's as simple as that. Now that you're privy to why this occurs, the solution is rather straightforward. If you're uncertain whether the attack will make contact or not, simply roll. This way you will avoid getting hit with bullshit attacks that should not have connected in the first place. But I emphasize, if you're not sure, because despite the latency, not every strike will miraculously connect from a distance. Its success will invariably hinge on your previous position a few moments ago. By maintaining awareness of your recent movements, you can still effectively space attacks, albeit with increasing difficulty as latency rises. And that's not all there is to this trick. With enough skill in monitoring your position, you can even phase through enemy attacks. Despite appearances though, you're not actually traversing through them, rather you're occupying a space on your screen that moments ago was vacant on theirs, since on their end they didn't truly land a blow. No message was sent through the pipeline stating "I hit you." Hence this peculiar occurrence. Mastering this technique allows you to capitalize on opportunities in matches plagued by high latency. Opportunities you wouldn't otherwise seize if you relied solely on visual cues. It's all about staying one step ahead of the game. Sadly though, phantom hits are not the worst thing that comes with latency. The worst thing would be the fact that if the latency is high enough, roll catching is nigh impossible. You know, that technique despised by the most casual part of the player base?
Nobody will ever give a f*** about this if you can get hit inside of a roll.
Yeah, that one. On low latency, it's no problem. Simply time your attack and that's it. On high latency though, it's another story. When continuously rolling on high latency, the iframes of the rolls basically overlap with each other, making it as if you were invincible during the whole animation rather than through a few frames. As long as you don't stop rolling, you will be invincible. It is so bad that you can practically spam roll through Flaming Strike and not get hit. And Flaming Strike is an attack which has a hitbox that lasts longer than the roll iframes. Hell, if the latency is high enough, you can even roll through the chainsaw glitch. More info on that on this video right here. All you can do is keep chasing until your enemy either runs out of stamina or decides to stop rolling. Luckily, or unluckily, depending on your point of view, status effects do apply through rolls, and they're a good countermeasure against peeps with high latency. Status effects like Scarlet Rot, Sleep or Madness can help you get those annoying gamers playing from the Orion Nebula. Sleep especially gets the job done super easily thanks to the Ripple Crescent Halberd being able to apply it in 2 or 3 hits when buffed with Drawstring Soporific Grease. And on a final note, don't confuse latency with lag. Lag and lag switching are a much more different thing. And that's all there is to know about latency, Tarnished. Hopefully you've learnt something new with this video. I'd like to say that despite what latency can do to online PvP matches, learning to play around it and master it can be quite fun. Well, it's certainly much more fun than simply crying about it on Reddit. So don't give up. Try out these methods and see for yourself. And if at the end of the day, you just don't want to deal with it, well, that's also okay.
Want to know what's not okay, though? This may be my last mystery thingy. Ranni's not happy with my, performance. So let's try to do it well this time. The mystery thingy from our last video was the Urumi. Big congrats to the shiny Aqua Jets who answered correctly. Try to guess this one now and write in the comments which one you think it is. I'll be seeing you in the next video. Bye.